and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Jewish group speaks out after cafes targeted in pro-Palestinian rallies. Investigation continues after 5 injured, 2 critically in 2 Highway 400 collisions in Bradford. Canadian skating coach Richard Gauthier given 12 months for sex assault. Here's how much you need to make an hour in order to cover living costs, Toronto. Suspects sought after hateful messaging scrawled on window of North York store. Jurisdictional creep, Duckford slams feds for directly giving municipalities funding for housing. Police investigating fatal daylight shooting at Scarborough apartment building.
These were the headlines, and now let's jump right into the details.
One person is dead after a daylight shooting inside a Scarborough apartment building on Monday afternoon. It happened at a high-rise building near Kingston and Galloway Roads at around 12:40 p.m. Police say that officers responding to the scene located a man with apparent gunshot wounds. Paramedics began life-saving measures, but the man was subsequently pronounced dead at the scene, police say. A second man was subsequently located elsewhere in the building with gunshot wounds. Police say that the individual was taken into custody at the scene but has since been taken to hospital in serious condition. Redmond would not say whether police are seeking any additional suspects in connection with the shooting. She said that officers are continuing to investigate at the scene and looking to speak with anyone who may have been what happened. At this time, we are still investigating and we request the public's assistance. If anyone has any information or video, we ask them to contact 43 Division, she said. Ontario Premier Duckford is calling on federal government to end a program that offers municipalities funding to boost their housing supply, suggesting that Ottawa is overstepping its jurisdiction. You can't have a federal government going into a certain town or certain city and dumping funding and not even discussing it with province, Ford said in Halifax at a meeting of Canada's premiers on Monday. The program in question is the Housing Accelerator Fund, a $4 billion pledge meant to incentivize municipalities to update their zoning and permit systems to allow faster construction of housing. Multiple Ontario municipalities have already signed agreements with the federal government, including London and Vaughan. The city of Mississauga has been working with the federal government to secure $120 million in funding. The money was revoked after Mississauga City Council voted to prevent 4-unit homes, otherwise known as fourplexes, from being built within city limits. Mayor Bonnie Crombie reversed the decision, using strong mayor powers in hopes of getting the federal government to reconsider the funding. The Housing Accelerator Fund was first promised during the 2021 federal election and was launched in March 2023. Ford told reporters that while he believes the province can get a better bang for the buck if it works with the federal government directly, this fund isn't the answer. The Ontario government has also set up a 3-year, $1.2 billion fund to provide municipalities up to $400 million per year if they meet certain housing targets. Each city's progress will be evaluated by comparing housing starts and residential units created that calendar year with the annual assigned targets. The government said municipalities that achieve 80% or more of their annual target will be able to access the funding. Those that do not will get nothing. Minimum wage in Ontario is not enough for residents to live comfortably in any part of the province, according to a new report. According to data released by the Ontario Living Wage Network, OLWN, Monday, those living in Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area need to make at least $25.05 per hour, which is a roughly 8% jump from the rate in 2022 at $23.15 like last year. It remains the highest hourly living wage in Ontario. A living wage is the before-tax income an adult would need to make to cover expenses, the network said. It said its calculations look at the expenses for 3 types of households: single adults, single parent with a 7-year-old child, and families of 4 with children aged 7 and 3. In order to calculate the living wages, OLWN says it factored costs like food, rent, transportation, clothing and footwear, medical expenses, childcare, adult education, internet and cell phone costs, and other expenses like recreation and personal care. It also includes any applicable government taxes, transfers, and benefits. A living wage is an effective tool to combat working poverty by making sure that employees can make ends meet where they live, OLWN said in a report, adding it also considers expenses related to more than just surviving, like a modest vacation and opportunities for residents to engage with their local communities. While the GTA boasts the highest living wage rate, Ottawa says saw the largest increase year over year, with the 12% jump going up by $2.35 per hour to $21.95 in 2023. Even though Ontario's minimum wage went up in October 1st by 6.8% to $16.55, the rate remains $2.10 shy of the lowest living wage needed in the southwest region of the province. With the current rates, Torontonians earning minimum wage make $8.50 less than they should cover their basic living costs. Currently, there are 868 certified living wage workplaces, OLWN noted, with employers required to meet the local living wage rates within 6 months. New details have emerged about two separate but related collisions that injured 5 people early Sunday morning on Highway 400 in Bradford. In video posted to Twitter on Monday afternoon, OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt said that the first crash happened shortly before 3 a.m. when a 20-year-old man driving southbound near Canal Road left the roadway, entered the ditch, and rolled his vehicle several times. Schmidt said that the driver was ejected and sustained life-threatening injuries. He is now being treated for his injuries at a trauma center. Alcohol is believed to be a contributor factor in his crash, Schmidt said. Police closed Highway 400 southbound at 5th Line for several hours while they investigated this single vehicle collision. About 4 hours later, at around 7 a.m., a driver plowed through the closure and struck 2 road maintenance workers who were outside their blocker trucks. One of the workers, identified as a 51-year-old woman from Cookstown, was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The other worker, who has not been identified, has serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A 23-year-old man who drove the vehicle that broke through the closure along with the 27-year-old woman who was the passenger both sustained minor injuries in the crash. Schmidt noted that alcohol does not appear to be a factor in the second crash. He reminded all drivers that they must maintain control of their vehicle and follow directions when they see flashing lights ahead of an emergency road closure. Please, when you see flashing lights, slow down and move over anytime, Schmidt said. Highway 400 southbound was closed from Highways 88 to 8 Canal Road for several hours on Sunday as police investigated. An advocacy group is vowing that the city's Jewish community will not be intimidated after another Jewish-owned business was targeted as part of protests related to the Israel-Hamas war over the weekend. Video emerged over the weekend showing a group of pro-Palestinian protesters swarming on Aroma Cafe near the CN Tower downtown and chanting, "Boycott Aroma." The Israeli-founded coffee chain has branches all over Canada and the US. In one video, people can be seen chanting, shaking their fists, and waving Palestinian flags at the windows of the coffee shop. Another video appeared to show protesters spray painting graffiti on the windows of another Aroma location as hundreds of protesters march outside. A similar scene unfolded with a pro-Palestinian protest at another Jewish-owned business on University Avenue 2 weeks ago. A number of politicians condemned the protests, saying that it is wrong to target and intimidate local businesses over the war. But the message appears not to have landed. Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center CEO Michael Levitt said in an interview that while peaceful protests are part of people's rights as Canadians, trying to intimidate another community is never okay. A line needs to be drawn, he said, at Jewish community centers, homes and businesses, places which have all been targeted in the past few weeks. There's a lot of space for people concerned about the plight of Palestinian civilians to be able to protest in the city, as is their charter right, Levitt said. He said while some have made an effort to distinguish between Israeli and Jewish-owned business, the intent is the same. Tensions have also spilled out on streets all over the world, with during mass protests in support of Israel and the Palestinians. Aroma did not immediately return an email seeking comment on the protest targeting some of its stores. Beaches East York councillor Brad Bradford also spoke out against it and said he would be going as well. Several other people posted pictures of themselves at Aroma Monday to show support for the chain. Toronto Police Chief Maran Demkiw said Monday that he is very concerned with the rise in hate-motivated incidents over the past few weeks. A renowned Canadian pair skating coach has been sentenced to 12 months in jail for sexual assault and gross indecency. Richard Gauthier was found guilty in January of 2 charges dating back to the 1980s involving a teenage male skater whom he trained. He was acquitted of 3rd count of indecent assault against the victim, whose identity is covered by a publication ban. Quebec Court Judge Jose Blanger said today that a jail sentence was appropriate because of the age of the victim, who was 14 or 15 at the time, and because of the position of trust Gauthier held over him as his coach. Gauthier, 61, spent more than 3 decades training world-class pair skaters. He was inducted into the Skate Canada Hall of Fame as a coach in 2015, though he has since been expelled from the organization. Toronto police are asking for public's help as they work to identify a suspect who allegedly wrote hateful messaging on the window of a store in North York last week. On October 2nd, at about 10 p.m., police were called to the Willowdale area near Yonge Street and Finch Avenue West for reports of mischief at retail business. At the scene, officers found anti-LGBTQS2+ and anti-Hindu messaging scrawled on a store window. Police then launched a hate-motivated mischief investigation. A suspect has since been identified as a male with a medium build, light-colored hair to his shoulders, and full beard. He appears to be left-handed and was last seen wearing black clothing and a toque. Police are asking anyone with information to contact police at 416-808-3200 or Crime Stoppers anonymously.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.